Hey Altig, it's Chris Bentley here, Board of Director, currently in Calgary, Alberta. And I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about how I became a Board of Director for the Altig Orlovich family, and how I actually became top 3 Board of Directors back to back over the last couple of conferences, and how hopefully you can maybe make a few slight changes to what you're doing right now and join me on Board of Directors for either Lake Tahoe or at least by ABC conference. So I think one thing that I'm probably best at is growing a team of really strong individuals that have a really team atmosphere, and at the same time have a very clear path and a clear vision of what's expected of them, but also of what they can achieve and how to do it. And it all starts right from the hiring process, of course. So the first step is always following the scripts and following the systems and processes that are already there to do first over the phone, to do seconds, to do group presentations after groups, and so on and so forth, with all the support of the Redmond office that always helps us out so much. And then on top of that, I think the key areas that I've made slight improvements on, or at least additions to for myself, is in the final interview. And again, I still use the 4th interview script, as it has very key important things that it asks. You know, can you see yourself in management, hiring and selecting and training people? How much money per month do you need to survive? Do you need to feel comfortable? And do you want to strive for, dream about? Those are key issues. Those are key questions, that are going to give you the answers that you can basically review when you hit your career meeting, which I'll talk about in a few minutes. So it all ties together. But the main thing is that when you break in the middle and it tells you to go through, and it tells you exactly what to go through, I've just sort of refined that list to include everything and make sure that I always get the elephants out of the closet and out into the open right away. So what I mean by that is that when you go through the group presentation, it says that we have a sales and championship path, and it says that we have a management and executive development path. I always make it clear in the 4th interview that I only hire for the management and executive development path, simply because, and I always say this, I can teach an ambitious, driven person how to sell our products, because as you can see, they sell themselves. But it's very difficult for me to teach a salesperson how to be ambitious, how to be driven, and how to have a work ethic. So if you are already ambitious and driven, this might be the proper career opportunity for you. And I take them through the Alpha Omega book just quickly to show them that a lot of people might hire for the agent and training position, and then we just see how it goes. But then there's no accountability on you. There's also no accountability on me. If it doesn't work out, you get to blame it on the job. I get to blame it on you. That's not good for anybody. I only hire, and I flip through the pages, for a master general agent. That's a manager. Because then I'm looking for quality people that have those kind of qualities of leadership, of ambition, and so on, so that I can look for business partners to be able to grow our business as a partnership and together. That way, I'm accountable now to give you the support, the guidance, and everything that you need to be able to get there by that time. And you need to give me the work ethic, the self-discipline, and the commitment that it takes to build a business to be able to get there by that time as well. And then what I do is I go through first of all, what my background is, what my story is. I let them know way more about me and why I'm here today and so on and so forth, so that they know what my vision is, what I'm trying to accomplish, and what kind of team that they're joining. And then I take it one level up and I explain who Altig Orlovich is, how proud I am to be a part of that family, but at the same time too, how proud they should be if they do get selected to join Altig, and what Altig is compared to AIL and what kind of impact it has on AIL, so they understand the differences. The fact that everybody in the Alpha Omega leadership book and in those slides and in those videos that they saw during group are relatable because they're all under the same leadership, the same culture, and the same kind of training. So we all have the same type of opportunity. Then I talk about the differences with leads, the fact that this is not just a sales organization, but an education model that is built on lead generation. So the fact is that yes, we look after union members and policy owners, just like the slide showed in the group, but the main thing is those referrals, because we're trying to grow our business, and right now we're exploding. If we have the best benefits available to any union member, wouldn't it be great if everybody had access to those benefits? So if we educate everybody to let them know exactly how these benefits work and how they protect their family, then why wouldn't they offer the same kind of access of information to friends and family members? And the fact that this really is a lead generation model, so again, there's no elephants in the room. As soon as they start, there's no surprises. They know that their main objective in their first and second week is lead generation, create their own lead pack, not just rely on company leads. I then go through how we get paid. And I think it's really important to use the examples again in group. We have Mark and Beth. If they set aside $20 an hour each, $20 an hour each means if they set aside their 1 hour, that's $40 a week. $40 a week is $160 a month. Now, if AIL paid you a portion of that $160 a month, it would take you a lot of enrollments to have a good week, wouldn't it? Well, luckily they don't, right? We get paid half of the ALP, that's annual life premium, and I show them how to calculate it. I show them what that means, how much we would get paid, and so on and so forth. And if they do their 15 to 20 sits, what percentage that could possibly work out to, which again is just a review of what was shown in the group benefits. But then I show them what residual income means, how residual income works after the first year, after the 10th year, so on and so forth, how that can build, how they're setting aside passive income and what that means to them for financial freedom for the future. But then I remind them that I didn't hire them to just be an agent for the next 10 years. I'm hiring them, if I do decide to choose them for my team, to be a master general agent. And so I show them, go back to the Alpha Mega book, I show them page by page how you get your promotions, what timelines for each is the expectation, 1 to 3 weeks after you're licensed to get to the 50% agent, 1 to 5 weeks to get to an essay, depending on whether you've personally recruited or not while you're still studying, so on and so forth. And then how you become an MGA. When the deadline is for the MGA. So if you were hired in May, the expectation should be that you're an MGA no later than December. You can make it earlier, and I'll help you get there if that's your ambition, but no later than December. Here's how you get there, so on and so forth. So if you know right now that I'm hiring you because of the qualities that you have, the leadership and the ambition that you have, and the dedication that you have to become an MGA, and a successful MGA, then you care more right now about how MGAs get paid than how agents get paid, right? And at the same time, too, every page before the MGA page just becomes training wheels. And truly, that's what it is. It's just a means to an end so that you can learn how to become a productive MGA. And then I'll go through exactly how an MGA gets paid. If an MGA had 5 people and they all did about $2,000 to $4,000 a week, this is how an MGA would get paid. But even more so, how an MGA gets residual income, because that's the passive income. That's one of the main reasons financially that people choose a career in insurance. So it says, to be honest, it's a little confusing in the book. It says 60% of what your directly coded agents receive in monthly vested renewals. Most brand new people don't understand what that means. So I show them an agent will get 5% vested renewals, right? Well, if the MGA gets a 60% match or override of that 5%, wouldn't that be 3%? Perfect. So that 3%, and then I explain how that works and the fact that it builds and it snowballs and it grows and so on and so forth. And if you have a successful team and you pour your heart and soul into them, you train them, you culture them, so on and so forth, that you could have an amazing career as an MGA, and then what that leads into on the executive path as well. Once I've explained all that, of course, I go into licensing and training. So the big thing is that I'll show them, if I decide to hire you today and bring you onto our team, I would expect that you would enroll into Oliver's Learning today while you're in the office here now with me, so that you can start studying today. For hour 1 in Calgary, it's $240. Is that going to be an issue? Would you, if I decide to make a hiring decision today, will you be able to enroll in Oliver's Learning today so that you can get started studying? If the answer is no, I'll still continue on with the 4th interview. I'll do everything that I normally would, and then I'll reschedule a 5th interview for when they're able to make that level of commitment. If they say, oh, of course I'm ready. Yeah, absolutely. I'd be so excited to start studying today and get on board. Then I'll continue on with this interview as if it was the final interview. So I'll explain what the expectations are, what they need to accomplish, what the course looks like, everything about it. The fact that they've only got a certain number of days to finish it, and so on and so forth, how they register for the provincial, what the provincial looks like, when it is, where it is. Everything is already written out in notes that I've photocopied so that I can hand it to them, but that I'm going over with them. The timeline that it's going to take as well, so that they're confident and comfortable as to when their first paycheck will come, as long as they follow through with my timeline and what my expectations are. And then, of course, what our training looks like. The fact that they're going to be in the field with ride-alongs and what the field schedule looks like. The fact that they have to memorize the script, and no matter what their background is, why that's so important, how it works, how virtual training set up by, Troy and so on, will back that up, and how that all works as well, and why it's so important. And then the fact that we have classroom training, the fact that there's many different avenues to be able to capture every learning style so that they can be successful right away. Because it is one of the biggest fears for people when they first start, is what is the level of support. So I'm very explicit, very detailed, so that they understand exactly what they're getting into, and at the same time what kind of opportunities are ahead of them, and if they do these fundamental tasks, what they can achieve, and what they can achieve quite quickly. Once I've gone through all of that, then I'll make a hiring decision. If I make a hiring decision that day, which is most of the time, then I'll enter them into Planet. I'll take them through Planet Altig quickly, and then I'll get them into Oliver's Learning, which is what our provincial exam and course is, and everything else like that. So I'll get them right into it. I'll get them enrolled. I'll take them through the course so they see it. I'll give them a few tips, so on. And then what I'll do is after going through how the course works and getting them all set up so that as soon as they go home it's a turnkey operation, I'll discuss personal recruiting. I'll talk about, of course, how do they get their first SA contract, how they personally recruit while they're still studying, why it's so important to not wait until they get a first paycheck, until they figure this out, right? I'll talk about how to personally recruit, what's expected, what they get in return, and so on. And then what I'll do is I'll go over the schedule, the office schedule, when training is, when groups are, the group presentations, the fact that the group interviews are not group interviews when you're personally recruiting. They're career information sessions. Because if you call them an interview when you're personally recruiting while you're studying, the first thing people are going to ask is, well, let me be prepared for the interview. What is it all about? Well, if you tell them too much information, they don't have a reason to come in. So the bottom line is, what you need to do is call them career information sessions, so that when people say, well, tell me a bit more about it, you can simply say, well, that's what that's for. I just started. I don't know enough and I don't want to mess it up. Why don't you just go in? It's 90 minutes of your life. If you don't want to do it, at least you now know what I'm doing. If you do want to do it, maybe we get to work together on an amazing career. After going through a few key things like that, I join them into our WhatsApp group online so that they can keep in contact with everybody else that's studying. They've got that level of support. Even if it's at 2 o'clock in the morning, they have a question on one of their exams, they can easily post it to that group and they'll get answers really quickly. And I add them into my own phone and everything else like that. And then the final thing that I do is I set them up for a career meeting, and how important that is within 24 hours of me hiring them. It might even be the same day, which I've done a number of times, or it may be tomorrow, but it will not be within 48 hours. It's within 24 every single time. And it's very important, because you need to be able to make them feel comfortable. And I never realized until recently, within the last few months, how important it is to do a career meeting immediately after. So either the same day or the day after, not 48 hours later. And the reason is because you ask them at the beginning of the fourth interview, how much they need to make to survive, how much they need to make to feel comfortable, and then finally what they want to dream of making, right? So at the beginning of the career meeting, the first thing I say when I sit down is, listen, I understand that most people are most excited about the level of income that they can make in this career opportunity, but at the same time, the thing that they're most concerned with and most scared of is income. Right? Because it is something that is not necessarily a salary position. So we'll go through the first part of financial analysis. I'll let them fill that out. And then I'll ask them, okay, now that you know it's going to cost you $2,500 a month to scrape by, How do we get paid? How much of our ALP? Right. So then how much ALP do you need to write to do 2,500? Right. You just double it. So that's $5,000 of ALP per month. Okay. So how much is that per week? Well, it's $1,250. Okay. Well, our average ALP per sale in our office is $1,500. So that's less than one sale a week. I'll flip the financial analysis over. And this is key because this is an addition that I do. I'll flip the financial analysis over. And I'll talk about 1130 to 70. I'll explain how it works. I'll even do the math with them. If you have 70 dials a day times 5 days, that's 350 dials. 350 dials times 9% pickup rate is 32 reach. 32 reach times, and so on and so forth until you get down to the 15 presentations per week. Right? So with 15 presentations per week, obviously there's a lot of variables before that. A lot of them are controllable. Some of them have variables in them that aren't. But do you control dialing 70 dials between 11:30 and 1 every day? Is that something that you control? And the answer is always yes. So then if you put pressure on the system instead of on yourself, and all you do is make sure that for an hour and a half, you work really hard every day. 5 days a week, for 1 hour and a half, you work really hard. The rest of it is all fun, because going into the homes and talking about benefits, that's not hard work. Picking up the phone and keeping dialing intensely, that's 100% in your control, and it's very important. So that way they know what the controllables are, and they know what they're responsible for. But at the same time, if you sit with 15 people a week, and you know that you only need one sale a week to scrape by, don't you feel more comfortable about at least getting all your bills paid? Oh, yes, is what the answer always is. So then we go into what is it you want to make per month? And I always coach them because I never let anybody put less than $8,000 a month. There's no way anybody in my organization is going to come into this business and not want to make six figures. So I always coach them to make sure. And then they put down, okay, how much is that going to be? Well, at least 16,000 ALP. Well, that's $4,000 a week. Okay, well, great, because $4,000 a week is a minimum in our office as to what the expectations are per week for ALP for each agent. So when we go down to ALP per agent, ALP per appointment. ALP per appointment, I flip it back over and I draw 3 circles, and I say if you had 3 appointments and you enrolled one person for 1,200 ALP per month, what would your ALP per appointment be? And they say 400. And then I say, okay, so what's the close percentage here? And they say 33%. What's the average sale? That's not a trick question. There's only one sale, so it's 1,200 ALP. Why do you think I use 1,200 ALP per sale when our average is actually 1,500? And they think about it for a second. I say, because everybody can afford $100 a month to be able to protect their family. How much does your cell phones cost at your household? How much does your car insurance cost? How much is, and I give a couple your cable plus internet, so on and so forth. So do you think that everybody can afford $99 a month to protect their family? And everybody says yes. So 1,200 is achievable. Yes. 33% closing ratio is achievable. Yes. Well, do you know if you multiply those two, you get 400 ALP per appointment? So if I had a stack of $100 bills and I told you for the next hour and a half, any appointment that you put on paper, whether we get to sit with them, enroll them, or whatever, I'm going to give you $200 per appointment. Would you work hard on the phones? Yes? Okay, well, great, because that's exactly what it means, because we get paid half of the ALP. So back to this. Is 400, do you find 400 achievable when it's based on closing 1 out of 3? And if you know the script well, obviously that's a possibility. And then at the same time, 1,200 ALP per appointment when our average is higher than that. Yes. Okay, well then flip it back over. Let's use 400 ALP per appointment since you're comfortable with it. How many sits do you need? How many presentations do you need with our show ratio? So on and so forth. And then it usually ends up being less than the 1130 to 70 will give you anyway. So in the end, they say, oh my God, not only will I definitely not have to worry about my bills if I do my job, but if I control the 2 things that are 100% in my control. 1, dialing intensely 5 days a week for an hour and a half a day. And the second, knowing my script inside and out. There's no variables there. You're 100% in control. So they know that right away just by going through that first page, that they can get their goal and they can definitely get their bills paid no matter what, as long as they just follow my direction and do the simple fundamental things that are a main part of our job. Then I move on to the next page, which of course is the 10-year dream. I scratch out the top because $800,000 is not enough to buy you a nice house in Calgary. And I make sure that they understand. I give them lots of ideas, right? The fact that my last name's Bentley, so I definitely have a Bentley on there. It's not what you're going to save for 10 years to be able to buy, because your income's going to go like this. It's the fact that in 10 years you can walk into a bank and get a mortgage for a $10 million home. You can get a car loan for a new Maserati. You can get whatever it is that you want, whether it be horses and stables and so on, whether it be retirement for your family, for your parents, or a home for your family, or your parents, or it might be a winter home down in Phoenix or somewhere like that. I just walk them through many different ideas, a yacht, whatever it is, and amount of money you want to give to charity every year, whatever it is. And I just get them to fill out just the items and just the amounts. The amounts can either be a total or it can be per year. I don't care. And I get them to brainstorm, and I keep getting them to go on and on. Then I break it down by annual, and then I break it down by month, and then I break the month down obviously by 1,000 and let them know that on average across all of AIL, an MGA makes about $1,000 per month per agent. So now if you need to make $66,000 a month to be able to achieve your goal, you need to get 66 agents. How long, if that was your only main key focus, how long would it take you to get to 66 agents? Well, I don't know, maybe a year? Okay, well, can we say at least within 3 to 4 years? Yeah, I guess so. So I just had to help you think this big, to put these kind of wild, big, huge things. Would you be happy if you had all these things? Yes? Okay, well, perfect. Well, now you just took that, what you thought was impossible, 10-year dream, and broke it down into 3 to 4 years just through personal recruiting. So do you think personal recruiting is important? Do you think that should be a main focus? And they, of course, agree. Then I go to the memory jogger, but here's the key thing. Before I get them to do the memory jogger, I flip it over and I write down 2 columns. One column is what's in it for them. The other column is what's in it for me. And I get them to give me all the things that's in it for the personal recruits, their friends, their colleagues, or the people that they know through people, or the people that they might meet at Starbucks or Boston Pizza or whatever. And I ask them what's in it for them if they come in and sit through that career information session. And they say income, they say financial freedom, they say personal and professional growth, they say all different kinds of great things. And then I go over to the what's in it for me, and I write down for them. Now that's what's in it for the person sitting with you, obviously, not you. And I say, you get to work with people that you like. As well as, don't you get an SA promotion as soon as you get one person coded, which of course just means that they're licensed and get their first sale? Yeah, and then with that you get an SA bonus, and you get an SA override, and you get an SA residuals, and so on and so forth, right? But you know what else you get? Just to help you out and make sure that you're motivated to get good quality and good people so that you can build your team, they actually give you $250 every time that one of the people that you brought in gets coded, so they write their first deal after they get licensed. And then on top of that, they give you 5%, not of what they get paid, but 5% of their gross ALP that they've submitted every single week for the next 6 months. Isn't that amazing? Can you imagine how much that could add up to if you brought in a good amount of people that were really good at what they did, and we put a lot of time into them and we trained them up and we had a great team going? Well, guess what they've done this year? It's pretty amazing. And in fact, I don't even know how they're doing it, but just to help you, give you the urgency that you need to be successful here and grow your team quickly, even while you're still studying, instead of giving you $250, they multiply that by 4. They give you $1,000 for each person that you bring in that gets coded, and then instead of 5%, 10% every single week for the next 6 months. Let's just work that out for a second. How long would it take you to get 10 people knowing that there's 12 weeks in that 3 months? 2 months? Okay, well, great. Well, think about this. Oh, you don't think that's possible? You think maybe only 5? Let's just use 5 then. You know what? Let's lowball it at 5. If you got 5 people coded in the next 3 months, how much money are you going to get from the coding bonuses? That's right, $5,000. Now, if each person does our office minimum of $4,000 of ALP per week, over 6 months, that's $100,000 each in ALP. Well, what's 10% of 100,000? 10,000. Well, what's 5 times 10,000? 50 grand. Right, so in your first 6 months, do you realize you've just made $55,000 without including any SA bonuses or overrides or any of your own personal production? Would that change your life? So you think that's important? So then let's figure out how we do that. And I flip it back over, and now we've got the memory jogger list. And before they start entering in names, I just let them know. If you added up everybody in your Facebook that's in the Calgary area, everybody in your LinkedIn, your Instagram, your Snapchat, in your phone contacts, so on and so forth. Now we know they're not all friends or loosely related, or they know somebody that knows somebody, or you met one time at a party. Who cares? How many people do you think you would have in the area? And they usually say anywhere from 200 to 1,000 to more than that. I say, okay, 1,000 people. So do you know that 80% of those 1,000 people, 80%, so 800 people, all fall into one of 4 categories. They're either unemployed, so they need a job. They're underemployed, so they're stuck at something that they're better than, right? That they don't see themselves being in 5 years. Or they're working multiple jobs that nobody wants. Or they hate their job, which are all those people that post those memes on Facebook every single Monday saying how much they hate Monday. Those people can't stand their job and they need something new. So you have 800 people right now that you're connected to that at least deserve the information on whether this might be the right opportunity for them. Wouldn't you agree? So don't you think that you should just basically write down anybody, I mean absolutely anybody, that might fit into one of those categories? Okay, you know what? I'll give you a few minutes. Why don't you just get started? And I let them write, and they fill up the page. And usually when they get to about 80% of the page filled, I stop them and I say, okay, so you get where you're going with this, right? Now I'm going to give you another sheet of paper for this. I expect you to keep going. This is going to be your worksheet. You're going to have it in the car with you. You're going to have it while you study. This is going to be your breaks from studying, and so on and so forth. But what I want you to do first is on the left-hand side, I want you to rate, not rank, but rate each one of these. Not on how well they'd be at it being an insurance agent, because then none of us would work here, but how excited you would be to work with each of these people. 0 to 10. 0 being I just put a name on a page. 10 being I'd be stoked to work with this person every day. And then I get them to rate them all. Once they've done that, I go with a little highlighter for every 7, 8, 9s, and 10s. And I say, okay, you've got 23 people here that you would be extremely excited to work with, which means they're probably excited to work with you as well, which means it would be quite easy for you to get them in to at least get the information, wouldn't you say? So over this next week, I expect every single one of these people here, and we're going to review this, if not in the next week or two, then definitely in your monthly review, so that we can make sure that all these people have come in and at least gotten the information. Is that fair? Okay, so you know what we'll do? We don't have a whole lot of time. What I'm going to do is I'm going to help you out a little bit. We're going to just focus on the 10s. Let's, you know what? Tell me a little bit about Jake. What's his background? And I use the Blake Higuchi and Dan Ike script with basically making that quick phone call, booking them in. And listen, if it's Thursday morning, we have a group at 2:30. I'm booking them for today. If it's Wednesday night and we have a group the next day, then I'm booking them in for the next day. It's just like booking appointments in the field. It's for today or tomorrow. No further than that. There's no need. People can make time if it's a great opportunity. Once the career meeting's done, then it's just about making sure that they're active. It's about making sure that you stay on top of it. It's about pipeline management. It's about talking to them as often as possible and having somebody reach out to them. It's about making sure that your SA reaches out and introduces themselves to them. The fact that they're coming in for agency meeting every single week, even while they study, so that they stay engaged. They feel like they're part of the team. They understand that they don't get hired when they make their first sale and they get coded. They get hired when you sit down with them and ask them to join your team. So I think the main thing that got me in back-to-back top 3 BOD and have such a strong team where I was able to promote people, not even just my people, But, you know, my MGA is Matt McBride, his people, and we were able to move great people across the country to Toronto, and we're still able to build a fantastic team here in Calgary, is by making sure that our hiring process is sound, that everybody understands exactly what's expected, what this job entails, what kind of opportunity they have in front of them, and that they're excited, but they're also clear-headed, they're comfortable, they're confident, they're proud. And I think that's the culture that we're trying to promote in our organization, which again just bleeds into the fact that we try to win every contest that we're in, because it's important to us, because so is Pride, so is this organization, and so is Altig. So I think with that kind of level of pride, that'll put you on board of directors in no time. Just make sure that you're talking about it every single day, that you live Opportunity Unlimited, and that you make sure that you're engaged with everybody that you hire from start to finish, because they will build your success. Thanks very much. Talk to you soon.